I do have 5 storylines I'm thinking about going into this season with my Detroit Tigers. I'll keep it brief. I can see you rolling your eyes already, but
I'm not. I'm interested to hear these. All kidding aside, I like
well,
to bust you. I like to bust your chops, but I'm interested. The Tigers are an exciting team, so let's see what they are.
I think they are an exciting team. It's interesting. They haven't done a ton in the offseason. They did sign Jack Flaherty. They did sign Kenta Maeda. They signed Mark Canha for the outfield. A lot of Tigers fans, I'm listening to Sports Talk Radio, of course, and a lot of people are upset that they haven't done more
Oh
free
yes,
agent
yes,
signings.
of
As you
course.
mentioned, the payroll is far below even average. I think they're not even at $100 million yet. I don't think it's the right time to spend. I don't think it's, I mean, literally, we just got out from underneath the onerous Miguel Cabrera contract, paying him $35 million a year. We're not even 2 off seasons removed from getting kicked in the balls by a Javy Báez contract that is totally worthless.
Ooh, I think it's more like a punch.
So why would we want to risk that again at this point when we have so much young talent coming through the system that's ready to get to the major league level? So I just sort of came up with that. That's not even a storyline I had written down, but it's just something I've heard lately. Fans always want more. They want the owners to spend more. I don't think this is the right time, but mainly because we have talents like Spencer Torkelson, and that's my first storyline I really want to get into. I'll be looking at is, can he repeat his 30 plus home run performance? Is that who he is now? He had a massive second half where
Massive indeed.
things just started to fall into place. Is that who he is now? Is he a 30 plus home run hitter? I think his pedigree says he is a number 1 overall pick. We've just now seen it, and maybe he's just scratching the surface. But that's the first thing I'm going to be looking at. Number 2 is coming back to the aforementioned Javy Báez. Can we get anything out of Javy Báez? He's amongst the worst hitters in baseball over the last 2 seasons. And it's just so I have such a different perspective than most Tigers fans because I lived in Chicago for 25 years and was a huge Javy Báez fan during that time. And what Tigers fans have witnessed out of Javy Báez is the opposite of what I saw in Chicago. They have not seen any of the glory days. They've not seen any of his magical performances. So I could see why people would be extremely frustrated in Detroit with Javy Báez, but that's not the real Javy Báez. If he could even be half of what he was in Chicago, it'd be such an improvement of what we've seen in Detroit. So he is still owed $98 million.
Enjoy that.
And that's just another reason I don't want to see the Tigers just jump into another big long-term contract of some free agent that they'd be going after at this point. So a lot of people are looking at Matt Chapman because the Tigers do have a deficiency at third base potentially, but he's probably looking at a shorter term deal at this point, similar to the Cody Bellinger. Now that it's so late in the season, late in the off season, but I don't think the Tigers would be wise to saddle themselves with another big contract like we're seeing with Javy Báez. That same scenario could be easily playing out and crippling a middle market team like the Tigers, as opposed to the Cubs, who can absorb it much easier. One thing Báez did say, he changed his workout routine, his conditioning routine over the offseason. He's feeling much better than he has. We hear this all the time, but something I hadn't heard about is he had been dealing with a lower back issue for the last 2 full years, which seems unlikely, but that's what he's saying. It says lower back and core issues for the last 2 years, but those have subsided somehow because of this new strength and conditioning program he's adhering to. So maybe that'll make all the difference. I guess it would explain how he could go from one of the more exciting players in baseball to one of the worst in no time at all. So that could be an explanation, not just an excuse, but I guess we'll see. Similar to my first storyline, I want to know if Tarik Skubal can continue his pretty much Cy Young worthy second half of the season this past year. He only pitched in 15 games. He was out with an injury for the first half, but he had a 2.8 ERA, 0.9 whip, 102 strikeouts over 80 innings. That is a fairly small sample size. That's basically half a season. But if he can continue that going forward, that is a veritable ace. And the Tigers have their ace in their rotation, which basically bolsters the whole depth of that rotation with the additions of Maeda and Jack Flaherty. You couple that with Casey Mize coming off injury, Matt Manning coming off multiple injuries last year, and more coming through the system. So if Tarik Skubal is an ace and Cy Young level ace, they've got something going this year, especially in the very weak AL Central. Storyline number 4 that I'm looking at is, will Colt Keith live up to his unprecedented Tigers contract? Signing him to a 6-year extension, $28 million before he's ever played a Major League Baseball game. That we talked about last episode. It's not nearly as debilitating as I thought. I think it's a smart move for both sides. But again, there's a lot of pressure on him. Like with that deal, he's got to be the opening day second baseman for the Tigers. Like it would be very embarrassing for him and the Tigers if he signs this extension and can't even make the opening day roster. So there's a lot of pressure on him, I think, and I'm curious to see how that plays out. The final question I have, storyline I will be watching, and all Tigers fans will be watching going into the season, is, can Riley Greene stay healthy? In his 2 seasons as a major leaguer, he has not completed more than 99 games.
Ugh.
When he is playing, he is a 300 hitter. He is a difference maker in the middle of that lineup. He is a potential all-star, but if he can only play 2/3 of the games every year, doesn't do you much good. So I want to see Riley Greene stay healthy.
Yeah. I feel your pain, man. At least it's one guy for you, not, well, I guess you had the problem with the pitching staff too, but for the Sox, it's like 4 position players.
Yeah.
You got to stay on the field.
Yeah.
Well,
that's all I've got for my Tigers.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on those this upcoming season for the Tigers. I'll be watching with all 5 of those in mind every Tigers game I watch.
You wrote them down while I was talking? I appreciate that.
I've submitted those to memory. They're committed. I mean, they're committed. I submitted and committed those to memory.
Word Hole Media.